Lads, Olympics next week.
Olympics.
What are we saying? Tokyo 2021?
Why not 2020?
They're still going 2020. It's crazy.
I think, you know what? A couple of years back, 2020 Tokyo, I genuinely wanted to be there. I wanted to be there for everything.
Fam, when they got the bid, I was like, I'm going to Tokyo.
But the thing is, you man are manga man, innit? So
literally,
you know. Like, if you know, yeah, these man wanted to go to Tokyo and do like about it. Collapse the whole thing,
fam. I would have literally immersed myself in the culture.
I was so ready for it.
These man would have been doing that Mario Kart thing on the street.
Definitely,
bro. Honestly, but alas,
running around,
COVID and that,
running around like Naruto and that. Nine toes, bro.
Your hands get back in it.
Nah, yeah, you know, but yeah, man, Olympics. Yeah, Olympics and that. What are we looking forward to? Looking forward to anything in particular? Anything you want to see?
Do you know what? Yeah, it sounds weird, but I always love the swimming part of it. The first week, when swimming,
bro.
Michael Phelps, he's. I know Michael Phelps is a legend, but he's one of those people where I just love the Olympics. So just seeing him win and achieve new things, and of course, new boys came in the last Olympics or two, and I just loved it.
Yeah,
Olympics one of those things when I was jobless and I was young. It's like let me put it that way. Yeah. You spend your whole time watching it. Normally, it happens on school holidays, right?
Yeah.
So you literally wake up, turn on the TV,
and it's always on.
Even 5 a.m. Literally,
that was the best thing ever. Bro. Do you know what made me love the Olympics? Yeah, like back in the day, it was the old school PS2 game. Yeah, the Olympics. Oh my days!
It's 2004. It's 2004.
Down, bro.
Fun story. I took it to uni and I smacked these ones.
But it's a button basher, innit? So you don't need no skills.
No tech. That's it. You know what? We were bagging first year. We were bagging because Beijing banged as well. Beijing 2008.
When they put the cycling in. That was cold, bro.
Beijing 2008 bang, and you know you turn the pad this way and you're like
for the spinning.
You just there tensing hard, just sweat.
Yeah, it's cold.
I think we may need to get Tokyo 2020.
If they do something like that, maybe, because but I'm sure they start making it techie now. You know, you just like the simplicity. They just say press X and circle as fast as you can.
Which was fun.
It was fun.
A lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
That was like the last time you banged 4-player and you're all sitting around the TV like sweating and you're there like.
But it's mad though. Like if you're playing that game, and say someone like has an unfair advantage now,
tell us more.
What's the unfair advantage?
They have not necessarily unfair advantage. Let me even say that. But like say they get disqualified for doing something brazy. Yeah. How would you man feel about that,
bro? You know what? Yeah, if they like, it depends on the brazy, you know. Like if what they've been disqualified for is what they shouldn't have been doing, then you know what I mean, like justice was served, innit?
I feel
justice was definitely served.
I feel like justice was served.
You know, maybe this is a shit segue into us talking about Sha'Carri Richardson. Come on,
let's have it.
It was a very shit segue, but we tried anyway.
We're on the road now, so let's do it. Yeah. So Sha'Carri Richardson has been banned for 30 days for doing a bit of marijuana.
She's doing a Naira Marley, you know,
blowing the reefer.
I don't want to marry Joanna.
The internet, namely Americans, have lost their minds.
Mainly black Americans.
Of course. Minds. I mean, I'm seeing people like Gabby Union and all these people coming out saying, "Let the
she's been lost for a while though." But let's not go there.
Wants to talk about us. The sun in it. I'm
not going through that segue still.
I'm not going through that segue. I'm just saying.
No, but I'm seeing hashtag let the girl run. Like say like, you know, she's Kunta Kinte and she's been chained up and all this. The girl was running.
Man say
the girl was running.
Do you know what's sad about this? It's just the fact that I don't see any accountability from her or from the Americans at all. All that seems to be happening.
Do you know what? Let's set the scene. Yeah. Let's set the scene. All right. So Sha'Carri Richardson, she's what, 21 years old. 21,
maybe younger. Let me check that.
And she won the American trials. So the American trials is the trials for the Olympics, and usually the fastest athletes in the world name, or not even the world, but in America, run these trials to see if they'll get selected for the American team that goes to Tokyo.
She's 21.
And she's 21.
21. Okay.
And she ran a 10:87.
Yeah.
Which I think currently is the 4th fastest time in the world.
Well, to be fair, her fastest time this year is actually 10:72.
Yeah.
Which puts her third best in the world at the moment.
So her best time this year is 10:72, but she ran a 10:87 in the Olympic trials.
Yeah.
And from that, she was selected for the national team, rightly so.
Rightly so. That's a
rightly
fast
so.
lady. Yeah.
She won, and she won in emphatic style.
Yeah.
And then
I did love her style when she pointed at the thing. Like, man, people like
bro,
Jetsa.
No, you know what?
She's people like Jetsa.
Bro, let's not get into that. I'm not going to get into that. I'm going to get mad.
But all I'm saying is that Jetsa broke the world record, didn't it? That's why.
Do you know what? Let's talk about it, because there was a lot of reaction on Twitter and just in social media sphere for her winning that title. So like, how do you guys feel about it? Because I'm not gonna lie, I felt some type of way because I didn't. It's like she wasn't the fastest person to run this year, so it wasn't like she did anything really phenomenal. Yes, she won the American trials, which was really hard, and I commend her for that.
Yeah,
but it's not like she's done anything wild, like anything crazy.
I think before you go into that, let's actually unpack what was actually said and why this is such a big story.
No, we'll get into that afterwards. We'll just go
chronological on that.
So I don't think she did anything like phenomenal or anything crazy. I think she won with a good time. It wasn't like the best time, to be honest. We've seen people like Shelly-Ann Fraser run a world record
all in the same year
this year, or world best, I should I say, because we know Joe Flo
in the
world record.
Yeah, Joe should be scratched, to be fair. But anyways, different story for different time.
So we've seen her run the best time. Shelly-Ann ran the best time this year, and which was a 10:63, and she ran a 10:87. So that's like
miles away,
0.2 of a second slower. Like it's a lot in racing terms. It's a lot.
Yeah.
And she's not the first black American athlete that we've seen do great things in sprinting. She's not. So why has there been this reaction and this embracing of her? Like, what is it about her that everybody loves?
I think it's the first time in a while, and you man can correct me if I'm wrong, that I think it's the first time there's like a black woman American sprinter that they can get behind that's challenging the Jamaicans of the world. I think who was the last? I know, was it Tori Bowie? The last Worlds I think won, and that was when Shelly-Ann was away having her baby and stuff like that. It was a very like who could win it kind of thing. But they haven't had anyone maybe since Jetta, and that's the last one that comes to mind of like the elite American sprinting. Before they had Marion Jones and all them kind of. They always had somebody there. But she comes across with the confidence, the coloured hair. Like very like
ghetto fabulous, isn't it?
Somewhat, but very exuberant. She's out there. She's boisterous in a sense, and I think that's a lot of Americans get behind that. They love to see a confident girl, and I ain't got anything wrong with the confidence. It's just I don't understand. She's not doing anything which is making me think, oh my gosh, like other than her age, and running 10:72 at 22 is a big thing. You know what I mean? It's a massive thing.
At 21.
At 21. But I'm just not seeing why everyone is so upset. I mean, you can be upset to think, okay, she took weed, she's messed it up for herself because we're going to see a massive race. But there's still so many sprinters. It's like we're not even going to miss her. You still got Talu, Shelly-Ann, Elaine Thompson,
Blessing
Okubari, Dina Asher Smith, our home girl. They've even got another American sprinter there. I can't remember her name. I can't remember her name, but there's another one there. I think she ran like 10:91 this season. The 100-meter women's is going to be mad. But people are out here saying let the girl run, and she did it to herself. Follow the rules.
Alright, cool. So what did she do?
So what it is that she smoked weed. Right?
Yeah. Let's
put it simple. She smoked weed. I think her mom died on that weekend, which is really sad.
Oh, is it?
Her mom died within that time of the US trials, and she was really sad, so she smoked a bit of weed. And then it's
legal in that state apparently, or something like that. It's legal to smoke in that state.
In that state,
okay.
And of course, she did a drug test, and it came out negative. Now the problem is that positive.
Yeah.
Now the problem is that there are rules set in place that there's no drugs, either performing enhancing or not performing enhancing, to take any sort of drugs in athletics whilst you're an athlete and you're competing in the world championships or Olympic championships or any competition. In fact, as an athlete, the golden rule of athletes is you are not allowed to take any drugs. You have to be clean, as clean as you possibly be. And of course, she broke that rule. And as a punishment for that rule, she was banned for 30 days, which meant that she wouldn't be able to compete in the 100 meters or the 200 meters of the Olympics.
Yeah, because her time is effectively scratched.
Yeah.
So she didn't basically run it.
Yeah. However, she would be, if she was picked by her, you would assume she would have been able to run the 4x100 meter relay.
Because for the 4x1, you don't have to run a qualifying time. It's just a selection from the US national team.
Yeah. But unfortunately, the US national team decided that she was, I guess for them, she is a major risk, and they don't want to put her in.
Big risk.
And I think from their perspective, I think they were thinking, well, you are fast, you are good, but then we have the ladies, we have the girls here. They have Tiana Madison. She changed her name. She had all these. They have Alison Felix that comes into the 100 meters relays as well. Sometimes they have all these superstars that can run the 100 meter relay and actually beat the Jamaicans. They're top position.
Yeah.
So in the 4x100 meter relay, they don't actually need her.
Yeah.
The risk is that they put her in and then she tests negative again. And all of a sudden, positive. I keep saying that. It's positive again, and all of a sudden they lose their medal, which to them is a big risk. I mean,
of course,
anyone will mitigate their risk and not put in a risk, such a risk in the team.
That sounds very logical, but what I've been hearing, especially on Twitter, is people saying that they should just let her run because the drug doesn't it's not a performance enhancing drug, right? It's just, in fact, if anything, it's a suppressant. It's not going to make you run any faster. So why don't they just let her run, fam?
But they say, I'm hearing that it's the THC or something within the marijuana, which is like a muscle relaxant, which can obviously help you run faster because athletics, or in terms of sprinting, I'm not no expert, but in terms of having your muscles relaxed, you can move faster and all that kind of stuff. So that's the issue. So of course she's not done it with the intent to do it, but if we start making allowances for all this kind of stuff, then who the hell, we might as well, people are going to come up with all sorts of excuses. You know what I mean?
And I think that the most important part is that it's a golden rule of athletics. For example, I'm not going to turn up naked in my workplace because you're not allowed to do that. You shouldn't allow to do that. So if I do that, I'm at risk of being fired. Or let's say bullying your colleagues or anything like that. Of course, if you work with the Home Office, Priti Patel's and her colleagues, you're allowed to do that. Of course, from the UK government, which is nonsense.
Now you listen to too much LBC, bro. My God.
Listen, I'm just saying.
Man got it locked in the car. LBC.
Priti Patel.
It just pops in my head. Let this move on.
Sha'Carri.
Let's move on.
That's a shop left.
Let's move on quickly.
Right, boy. Cool. Yeah, let's move on.
I think what the long and short of what I'm trying to say is that it's a golden rule of athletics. There's no drug taking. If you, of course, go against those rules. Of course, they're going to take actions against you. And I think what is really damaging, what's really worrying, is just the fact that there's loads of black Americans on Twitter saying, "Oh, this is racist," or "This is that," or "This is that," and not taking accountability for what's actually happened, which is you had one rule to obey and you didn't obey it. It shows no leadership to young kids that want to follow in the sport. It doesn't show any accountability. It doesn't show anything. It's just blatant disregard for rules and just saying,
I think that was really disappointing.
I wanted to smoke, so I smoked.
I think that was the most disappointing thing was her response to being not selected, right? Or being confirmed that she was going to be disqualified.
Did she do an apology or anything?
No, she didn't. She did in an interview the next day on some CNBC or one of these US national TV programs. But essentially what she was basically saying was that they're going to miss me. I'm the Olympics is not going to be the same without me. And she was
she's never been to the Olympics. She
was saying, I'm a human and I make mistakes, which is fine. We understand that you make mistakes. That's cool. But my thing is, right, as an athlete, you're going to be held to a higher standard. That's the first thing.
Definitely.
The second thing is, these are not rules that are set by a government or by a state, for that matter. So because they're not set by a state or by a government, they're set by a private body. The rules that govern your state do not govern
the agency,
or the private organisation, which in this case is the Olympics, right? Because if we start letting you run, then we have to start saying that every single athlete that competes in the Olympics, and I don't know how many they are, but maybe we can find out later in the show. There's thousands, right? Then we can say that all of them should be allowed to take marijuana and do drugs, and they should be allowed to compete.
And you know they're cracking down on this, like, you know, people taking drugs, like they're making them be so up to date with the current list of not allowed drugs that are performance enhancing. You've got to make sure, because I remember years ago when Tyson Gay got done for it, and he was blaming his his coaches and stuff, because he was like, oh, I trusted some people, blah blah blah. But you as yourself, you need to know what you're taking, what vitamin this is doing, what's that doing. Otherwise, come on, man, you get put in that. So Tyson Gay's like, I didn't do it, like I would never do that, but someone let me down, but you still have to pay the consequences.
To be fair, she should have used one of Tyson Gay's excuses and just said, and just not make it for the testing. They didn't make it for the testing. By the time they tested, they would have gone out of a system, because it's just weed.
I remember when Ferdinand did that. When he was playing ball. Ferdinand man missed the drug test. A man got suspended, didn't he?
He got suspended,
But was it like a year or like 9 months or something?
Bro, he got something stiff. He got something stiff.
Which was unfair for him. That was unfair.
Man missed the drug test. It's not even like he went to it and he tested positive. Man just missed it. He might have been asleep.
The word on the street is that like it's because he was enjoying the weekend.
Enjoying
But the consequences for that was so severe.
Of course.
Just for that, just for missing it. Do you see what I mean? So if you actually come out and test positive, and they give you 30 days, accept it. But it's like, for you as an athlete, this Olympics is one of the biggest stages. People spend years prepping their body to be at the most optimum level for the Olympics, and you know this, and you decided let me risk all of it.
All right, cool. I hear that, but is there something in her like grieving that allows her us not to be as harsh on her in this particular instance?
Bro, as much as like you can empathize with that position, because when you're going through grieving, like, you're just going to do whatever's going to numb the pain, whatever's going to help you. So it's not even that I'm getting at her for doing whatever she needs to do at that time to ease her pain, but you can't be making them sort of allowances, because someone might come and say, oh, but you guys, someone who might even not know it will come out and say, oh, but you guys stopped me from like running, and I told you like I had to do this for, I don't know, my kid was this and I needed it because I was stressed. Like, the excuses won't end. So they need to have a hard and fast rule. You know what I mean? But you know what I heard, You know who her coach worked with?
Who's that?
Her Sha'Carri's her coach worked with another athlete, Justin Gatlin.
I'm not gonna lie, Justin Gatlin is cold. Did you see his celebration when he won 100 meters in the World Champs?
That's my guy.
You know the first time he won it? Oh my god, I'm pretty sure he took the drugs. Do you know what? Because his teammate was so disappointed in him.
No, I'm talking about the last time he won it.
Oh, the last time. I'm talking about the first time he won it.
The first time he won it, though, he was running like an animal.
Yeah, he was running like an animal.
Like this, and he was all the faces he was making. Yeah, he was hopped up on that.
And do you know what it is? His teammate. I remember this so vividly. I was very young. His teammate looked at him and he said, "What did you do?" Like so hurt, so disturbed.
Yeah,
I can't lie to you. I think drugs is a major part of athletics. It's wild that we say this, but it just is a major part of it, isn't it? Like,
it's because, you know what, when you get to the upper echelon, again, I'm not any expert, but what you see is that everyone gets to that. Let's say, for example, you get to that 10-second barrier, and then it's about all the little things you can do to push yourself from that point to like the elite level where you're running your 9.8s and your 9.7s and stuff like that. Otherwise, you know what I mean? Like, and that's where people start saying, you know what, look, there's this new drug coming out of Czechoslovakia, Czech Republic. It's coming out of the crevices of one lab. They don't know about it yet. Look, just take some. Don't worry. It's not even going to show up on a test. It's going to give you that extra 0.5 of a second. It's going to give you that extra.
But it might not even be like. It might be like there's a guy in your team that prepares your water bottles.
Yeah, and definitely.
And the head coach just is like, do you know what? Just slip some in man's water. Man doesn't find out about it until it's too late. And he finds out about it, but he's like, "Raw, do you know what, man? I'm running the fastest times I've ever run in my life. You know, do you know what? I kind of like this feeling, you know." Like, and he doesn't do anything about it. But he just continues to take this particular supplement, and then that's how they end up. You know, when the drug agencies catch up with the drug, getting caught because they can't get off it. It's addictive. Like
that's why I just think I remember the same thing happened recently in like I say a couple of years ago in tennis as well, and they were complaining that you're constantly getting emails from like the anti-doping whatever and whatever, and they're constantly updating you with the lists of banned substances, so much so that it's like you'll take a substance on Friday, then on Saturday they'll say, "Oh yeah, weed is off the list now," and you're just like, how can I keep up, kind of thing. So just ban your vitamin D and vitamin C and call it a day, bit, man. Like, you know what I mean? Just like pray to God, whatever you got is what you got. You know what I mean?
But one thing that is very clear is there's no marijuana on that.
Although the other thing that I'd say, like, because as much as I'm with you guys, I'm probably a little bit more in the center, just in this whole argument, just because like when they want you to race, they'll allow you to take drugs, bro. Like the way they inject, you're allowed to take injections which numb your feet and all of this stuff. You're allowed to take.
Is that not performance enhancing?
That's what I'm saying. Like you're allowed to do all of these things to your body because it's within the rules, but you can't take weed. Like it's a bit mad. Like and it's not like weed is like the worst drug out there. Like but there's an argument to say that some of these drugs that are like numbing agents and all that kind of stuff are actually worse for your body because they're chemicals, right? Like they're just
I mean, at the end of the day, the rules are rules, and I think this is where I keep going back to. The rules are rules, isn't it? And if
but the body, I hear that, but
it means that the body needs to be regulated.
Is there something in the rules which is just like a little bit off because or it just doesn't really make sense?
You could nitpick at it, you know what I mean? Of course,
even if you nitpick at it, everybody have the same rule, so you can all do the same things that is in the same rule. You see what I mean? So there's no unfair advantage on each other. But when you go against what is written there and you do something else and say, well, is de-performing me, so I should be allowed in. Well, it's a bit unfair because you did something different from everybody else.
I think the real problem is when they let the sprinters. So, for example, you saw the way the British media like portrayed Justin Gatlin. He done his time, he came back, and now it's maybe the drugs are still coursing through his body.
But the British media is the worst, though. British media is the worst.
The British, they're the worst. But you know what I mean? It's like you got obviously you hit the rules. It's like cool. I'm happy to take my punishment, but then you got to kind of let that person come back in. They've rehabilitated. Of course, they're thinking they've learned their lesson. You can't now keep on top of them. So with Sha'Carri, she made a mistake. It's a shame we won't see her at the Olympics. And I think especially with athletics, because it taxes on the body so much, you don't know what sort of shape you're going to be in. We've seen so many athletes come in, they've had a banging year or two, then they get an injury here, they get an injury there. Before you know it, you're a 10-8 runner. Now you can't even break 11-second barrier.
It's true. And I think this is why I'm even more disappointed in her, because I know she made a statement saying that all the US athletes should boycott the Olympics. And I'm thinking,
I would be like,
and if I was an athlete in that team, I'm like, I spent years training my body to get to this level so I can compete.
I think the most disappointing thing for me is just like the reaction on Twitter, really, from the whole situation.
It's crazy.
I know you saw a tweet earlier, but like for me, it's just like get some of the tweets. It's just like
that's absolutely amazing.
It's like I saw something like I think it was even a news agency, Bleacher Report. They put up on their website that she's the fastest woman in the world. I was like, bro, you lot are taking the piss,
bro.
Yeah, big man, you lot are taking the piss.
The fastest woman is not racing, so that means that whoever wins the Olympics,
it's a paper champion.
Paper victory.
What? And it's so crazy because I think you touched on it earlier. there's so many women running faster than her in this very year.
Bro, and she hasn't done.
You see what I mean?
She hasn't got the pedigree. As far as I'm concerned, she's had a good. You can even call it a good pre-season. You know, she was ripping up college. She's came now to US trials. She's ripped it up as well. But these are seasoned people. Tarlu, Shelly-Ann, these lot have been in the Olympic finals.
But and the thing is, yeah, like these athletes, a lot of them, they peak, they set their peaks to hit the Olympics.
Yeah.
Like I remember Christina Ohurugu, yeah. She nailed that peaking to like the team. Because even like the week before, like I remember at the British Champs, there was often times when she would come second, but when it would get to World Champs or the Olympics, she was there.
She was there. Even the qualifiers, she would do third.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
just making it.
Yeah,
comes to the finals and she bangs it.
So basically, what I'm saying is like, Sha'Carri could be banging in pre-season, like Paul was saying, but when it comes to the actual race, a lot of these more experienced racers have got a lot more in the tank, especially if they're saving for the Olympics, and especially if they've had a season beforehand where they haven't actually had to race. Like, say for example, like we've never been in a situation where last year racers didn't race competitively. So they've got, in my opinion, I feel like they've got a lot in the tank, and that's the reason why we're seeing a lot more world leading times this season.
There's a lot of good times, isn't it? I was thinking that people were a bit more lethargic and not on point because they've had a year of just being at home. They've just nothing.
But they must be training.
But they've been training,
training. So,
and obviously they're peaking for the Olympics, right?
Yeah,
right? So
I just like I said, I don't know if she would have had the ability to even, what's the word? Do you think she could have crumbled in the final? The pressure might have been too much.
That's what I'm saying. She might have even crumbled in the finals because to get to the finals is not easy task. There's only eight athletes that can make it. And there's already like 7-8 world stars. I mean, we haven't even said Daphne Schipper's name.
You
see what I mean?
You know what I'm saying?
It's a world of athletes where if you're off your game for 1 second, you are not making that finals alone. Do you know what I mean? So
not even
I think
close.
the arrogance of Americans and the obnoxiousness of them to just say she's the fastest, as fast as we've got.
The fastest woman.
She's the fastest in the world, and she's the fastest woman.
Shelly-Ann's fully there. Well, she's fully there. Everyone's saying 10.63.
Shelly-Ann got 10.63, the fastest living woman alive today.
And people
she got that time last month.
And Okubare ran, was it the week after or 2 weeks after?
Yeah.
And she got 10.67 or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's like you've got these people that are running world fastest times, and you're saying that she's the fastest in the world, and she hasn't even run anywhere close to what these guys have run.
And Elaine Thompson also came back recently and got 10.71.
So like,
and she's a reigning Olympic 100 meter and 200 meter champion. You see what? Not even Shelly-Ann. So Elaine Thompson. That's the issue.
You know what? I can't even lie. She put me off for a bit. This Sha'Carri Richardson, because when Shelly-Ann got the 10.63, she tweeted saying that her presence within track and field pushed Shelly-Ann to run that time. I lost it.
She's obnoxious.
There was no congratulations. I even saw Jetta. If I was Jetta, I'd be fuming.
This is part of the reason. This is part of the reason why I'm not gonna lie. I'm not a big fan of Sha'Carri. Like as much as I like, there's a part of her attitude which I resonate with, but there's a massive part of her. Like if you know athletics, you know that this person is like, she goes against all athletic like principles, and it's kind of like, in
that sense,
you kind of, I don't know how to put it, like it's a sport where sportsmanship is actually celebrated. It's celebrated massively, right? And you give it up to, like I remember when Shelly-Ann broke Jetta's time, and she just said, well done to you, you've done a great job, this and the other, rah. And Sha'Carri's coming out, you haven't done anything in the sport. It's not like you've won a medal. Have you won a medal? Like, big man, have you won a medal?
She hasn't even been to the world.
She hasn't been to
have you done anything?
And she was
like, all you've done is dye your hair and point at the camera. Like, big man thing, like, relax. Bro. Because, like, fam, anybody can do that. Like, real talk.
And this is my thing. My things, my issue's not even with her. She does whatever she want to do. That's what athletes are. Somehow I'm not sure.
Yeah, of course.
My problem is just that the way that American took the reaction and made it all seem like everything is racism set up against them, and you know,
I think there's a
backtrack for ages and it's still
But
there.
you know, we tend to do that though sometimes when we feel like it's just a lack of accountability on the part of not even Sha'Carri, but the American people, to think that, look, this is a woman, we were rooting for her, we thought she's another name that's going to go in there, she's flamboyant, she's boisterous, she's got all this energy, she's confident in herself, we love to see it, but at the end of the day, she's done something that she shouldn't have done. And of course it could have been for the right reasons, but you know, the road to hell is paved with good intentions and all that kind of stuff there. She's got to pay the price. But now everyone's doing all this campaigning as if like they just said, oh, we saw you with a blunt in your hand, or all the other stories about like the black swimmers who they're banning the caps that they use to keep their hair in place for absolutely no reason.
But they overturned that though.
Yeah, I heard they overturned it, but the fact that they were going to do that, I mean, that's something to run.
And the thing is, it actually doesn't even give you an advantage either.
Yeah, exactly. That was mad. That was mad. But you fully put some drugs in your system, even if you think it's just weed, it just relaxes you. Clearly, there's an aspect of it which can be used. I'm sure if you isolated whatever blah 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 that was in there and you took a lot of it, relax your muscles, you're better loosey goosey, you can engage your muscles better, all that stuff. So yeah, the intent wasn't there, but still got to the end result. You know what I mean?
I just think as black people now, we've just got to this point where we kind of just feel like we can argue anything. We can argue against anything, and we'll support bullshit just because it's something that we're supposed to get behind because it resonates with some people in our community. I think you know what I think. I think it's trauma. I think a lot of the time, because we've gone through so much, any sort of like where we're excelling and someone's like basically holding your shirt saying you can't go, they feel like, nah, like let us go, like let us do, like so. And especially with the marijuana, but there's a lot of people in jail in America for that, and now they're saying let's make it legal, and now they're like bring out all the people that you put in jail for it then. So there's a bit of like history with marijuana in American people.
I get that, but this is a sport where, you know, legends are made in that sport. Do you know what I mean? Black people are made legends in a sport. I feel like it's one of those sports where black people are so loved and so respected, and they bring you up. You get worship for what you do, for what you bring, and I think for sometimes it's for them to use racism to it. I highly disagree with it, because the same thing happened to Michael Phelps. They banned him for 4 months from
his
6 months.
His was different though, because he didn't test positive.
He just got shown.
It was a picture that was shown, and they gave him a harsher sentence.
So if he just had a picture of you smoking, he got banned for that long. Can you imagine?
I think we're missing a little bit of context as well though, just from being in Britain and maybe not necessarily being over there in the States. I'm sure the YouTube comments will probably tell us if we're off the mark. But I do know that in other sports in the US, they've started to become a little bit lighter on sort of the use of marijuana. But I think something that you said was key. It's an international sport. This is not a sport which is governed in one country. This is not NFL. The NFL is a world championship which is only competed within the United States, along with MLB and along with NBA, right? This is an international sport where athletes from around the world compete, and there has to be a governing body which sits above every other governing body in each other country, and they set the rules. It's not each individual destination that sets the rules.
It's the one situation where I think, you know, any athlete, again, I don't know, you don't really hear of people would say they got away with it or anything like that, but again, I don't think if it was flipping Daphne Shippers that she was smoking a blunt, I don't think they'd be lenient on her, because it's the same rules for the sprinters in America to the sprinters in Botswana to the sprinters up in China. You know what I mean? Look what they did to Russia.
No, but look what they're doing to the African athletes, bro. Yeah, like the ones that have got too much testosterone in their body.
Bro, like, look at that. You know what I mean?
They're flinging them off the fucking side of the cliff.
Yeah, and that has more argument.
That has loads more argument. You know what I mean?
They're moving to them.
Yeah. So it's crazy. Do you know? Like, it's to the point. I even heard. I think in a way like they're making it legal. Like before, I think you could go through some procedure which could up the amount of red blood cells in your body for the distance runners. So if you got more red blood cells, you get more oxygen, you can run better. So there was a procedure which was banned, but now they found a way to do it legally. They go and train up higher altitudes where the air's thinner, and so they go there, they train for like a week or two, then when they come back they still have that upper like that level of thing, and it's like, you know what I mean, that's more smarter for me. But it just shows, like you were saying before, like the level that these lot, they're making sure that there's no, to them anyway, there's no sort of extra advantage with all this kind of stuff.
But the nature of competing in sports is that you're always looking for marginal advantages.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
Like, that's just the nature of sport, isn't it? Like, I mean, even to the point where Kipchoge, who was running the marathon, he was looking to do the marathon time, right? Yeah. They said his shoes can't be used in sporting competition. Bro. He can run the time, and the time can stand, but he can't run in competition because they're seen to give him an unfair advantage, right? Which is mad. Like, what's his name? Is it Kipchoge or
Kiplagat or something? Kiplagat, something like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the Kenyan girl.
Yeah. No, the guy who ran the marathon.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so it's, you know what? It's very like, there are, what's the word? There are like places to nitpick with the anti-doping and stuff like that. You know, the way they do things and stuff is, there's definitely things that can be done better. There's definitely things that can be reformed. But push comes to shove, if the teacher tells you no talking in class, and like somebody drops their pencil and you're just telling them they dropped their pencil, and the teacher says that's it, detention. Look, you knew the rules, innit? It's not right. It might not be right. You might look at it and think that's unfair, but the rules are the rules. You know what I mean?
And also the extra context to that is, if everybody's being treated the same in the class, then you cannot complain.
Can't complain.
In this situation, it's not like somebody else is being treated someone else is being treated better than you are being treated in the situation. And in fact, if anything, you're being treated more leniently than other people in the same situation as you. So I think you just have to take it with a pinch of salt, lick your wounds, go again. The World Championship next year, so like you can come again, you can come again, and we can see you race. Like, we all want to see you race. We want to see the best. The thing is,
I want to see
you want to see the best people.
We want to see the best people.
You want to see I was personally, from a personal point, like, I'm a Shelly-Ann fan. Like, I'm here for fast times and stuff, but I wanted to see what she would actually like do, and in the same sense, I wanted to see her get blown out the water. I wanted to see it happen.
Like, I wanted to see it happen. If you're a fan of the sport, like, you know what I mean, it's like seeing Tyson Fury get banged. Like, I would love to see Tyson Fury get banged, but I want to see that fight.
This is the thing, you want to see it, so it's like you go against
I don't care if he gets banged by Iowa, to be honest with you. I don't mind the other fight. I can't lie to you. I don't mind the other fight.
We're segueing.
One thing is, because I was reading through the Twitter tweets of some of the things, and people are calling this a war crime that the Sha'Carri don't get to go. People are bringing up loads of things. Honestly, they are more. They're upset. They're disturbed. They're disturbed and upset. And I think one of the tweets I was reading earlier was when people were trying to compare this situation to what's it called? Jesse Owens and Muhammad Ali not being allowed to box. And I'm thinking, this is not the same. The things that happen to those guys were something out of their control.
Do you know what it is?
This is really within her.
Do you know what it is? Like, people get a little bit of knowledge, they start to learn who these people in history are, and then they just
feel like, ooh, I need to tweet.
This is the perfect situation for me to say this particular bro.
But like, you know, the leap is mad. It's literally like
Jesse Owens, bro. Owens, man who ran in front of Hitler. Like, you want
literally. That's what the history. Literally,
you want to tell me this is comparable to Sha'Carri Richardson?
It's so crazy.
Muhammad Ali was out Vietnam and them things there.
That's what the black bro. Because who have I seen? I've seen Halle Berry tweet about this. I've seen Gabrielle Union tweet. I was like, you man, you need to tell her to take accountability of it and tell her not to do that. But I did read something though.
But I think as a generation, we're just becoming way too liberal. Like, everything we just have to accept. Like we just have to accept. Like no, like even to the point, yeah, where we're accepting like man are coming second place or whatever. I know we'll talk about this later, but like say for example England, they came second place, bro. Like people are saying, oh yeah, we should celebrate it. Nah, bro, you came second, bro.
Nah, don't do that because we're gonna talk about it later. Don't do that.
One thing I would say is one thing I picked up from the streets and athletics is that an athlete was actually, for once, even though the Americans, the black Americans are a bit obnoxious, I was like, this is actually a talking point. Yeah. And it's the fact that they raise a point that they're banning, and I thought about it. They're banning Sha'Carri Richardson, right? Yeah. Competing for weed. Yeah. However, they're accepting someone that's injected hormones into a system or took hormones out of his system to become a she.
Oh, what the Hubbard guy?
Yeah, she's going to
transgender.
Transgender going to be competing in weightlifting.
Yeah, that one. Do you know what? It's so mad because
I think
of all the sports, where a man who's transitioned into a woman and he's now a woman, obviously you're now a transgender woman, or what would they call it? Non-cis woman. I think it's the technical term.
Tell you, big man.
I think it's a non-cis woman is a technical term.
Yeah.
I think of all the sports, that's probably like the weightlifting is probably like the one sport where you'd think that person who's transitioned probably has an unfair advantage.
It has massive unfair advantage.
But you know what? This is the thing. This is where I'm against the anti-doping thing, because you had what's her name? Where was she from? I can't remember. Caster Semenya. And she was deemed to have too much testosterone or whatever that made her, she's like a man and this and that. And now you're having
a man people turn
the certain advantages you're getting from that, because it's just like, you know what I mean? And at the end of the day, this is where you go crossing the line between politics and like, because now they don't want to be seen as obviously putting down on the LGBT community, so they're thinking we've got to be inclusive, but then at the same time it goes against, or maybe it goes against is the wrong word, but it definitely raises questions about what sort of advantages is this person getting.
But I think it's a critical part of it all, and I think as tricky as this conversation is, I think it's one that needs to be had, because
100%
at the end of the day is, I think they're letting this person do the weightlifting because they don't think that he has a medal.
Sorry.
Yeah.
We're still learning, guys. Come on, we're still learning. Give us grace.
She doesn't have the
capability to win.
The capability of winning or getting any medals.
That shouldn't matter.
But that shouldn't matter, because then what happens when the person actually do have capabilities? What happens when they're
in the
100-meter finals? Then what? You see what I mean? Or 20 meters final. I think for me the biggest event in Olympics is 100 meters final.
It's the pre-ribbon event.
It's a pre-ribbon event. You see what I mean? Imagine now they're the biggest event ever, and they are winning the medals. I honestly, I think that would be unfair advantage to the women, because at the end of the day, if you can't let Semenya
it's because this is the exact thing. It's because
was born as she is. She hasn't changed anything.
It's because she was smashing the times. Like, I'm telling you now, what sort of problem would we be in if, like you said, there was a transgender athlete that now came to run 100 meters for the women and was running 10:3? Come on, bro. They wouldn't even allow it. They would before she even comes off the track.
They'll be losing their minds.
They wouldn't allow it, because like you said, there's got to be. They want it to still be competitive, which is why. But because again, I think if it was a white person, I don't know what they would have done. If Caster Semenya was white, I'm not sure where she's from. Is she South African?
She's South African.
Yeah, if she was a white South African. Again, it raises the questions in my mind, just because of what we've gone through. I wonder what sort of excuses they might have been affording her.
No, I definitely hear that. I think their excuse is the fact that it's unfair levels of testosterone within their body.
But that's how she was born.
I get that.
That's the part that I would always defend.
I hear what you're saying. So what they're saying is that you can compete, and this goes for the same as the Hubbard woman who's obviously the transgender woman we're talking about in weightlifting. You can compete as long as your testosterone levels are within what we would consider to be deemed as a fair level of testosterone for a woman that's competing within that sport. So
it's techie.
So basically they're defining what they consider
what a woman is,
which is it's again, like you said, it's techie.
And this is where it's techie because LGBT community will come and tell you, like, will tell us anyway.
And
that,
now,
you know,
LGBTQIA, right?
Yeah,
including intersex, and
asexual.
Yeah. So really and truly, if you're being inclusive of transgenders, you should be inclusive of those people that are born intersex
and how they come and what, like. Even you could call Caster Semenya's like raised testosterone, or this Hubbard's raised testosterone, as like an abnormality, you know, in a sense, like almost like, you know, the DNA did something and it's giving this person extra testosterone. Well, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think
so much on the case of Semenya because she was born the way she was.
But I mean, in terms of that, the fact that they've obviously ruled that something in her genetic makeup is giving her an unfair advantage, but how can you say it's an unfair advantage if that's me?
It's crazy, bro.
You know what I mean? That's me.
So, and it's like, where do I fit in? You're basically telling me that
I'm not a woman.
But the funny thing is, you'll let me compete if it was a male sport. Yeah. So if I was competing against men, you would let me compete.
Yeah. But I'd get washed.
But I was raised as a girl. Yeah. So like, where do I fit in?
You're born with the ingredients of a girl. Like, so for me, Semenya's one, I would always come to her aid because it makes no sense. Yeah. For me, anyways, it makes sense. It's as much as we run away from it, or this is you know, the world is changing and going forward. If you're born woman, you're a woman.
I mean, you know, like wrapping this up, man. Like I kind of feel like we're at a point where, you know, there's a lot of conversations to be had within how the anti-doping society, or whatever they're called, govern like what they deem to be this and that, and there's always going to be people who are going to think certain things are unfair, and certain people are going to say, yeah, it is fair because, you know, if you're an abnormality, then, you know, we got to kind of go with the status quo. We can't satisfy everyone, but there's definitely places where they can improve, and hopefully they're working towards trying to do that. But on the case of our girl Sha'Carri, you know what I mean, see, the world's big, man.
You gotta hold that, my friend. You gotta hold that one. It's an L, but boy, we will take a minute. So,
but we still look forward to the Olympics. That 100-meter final, bruv. Like, if you're not, I don't know where you're gonna. You have to be there watching.
You have to be there watching, because do you know, when I was younger, I thought everybody tuned in for the 100-meter finals.
You have to.
I realize that people don't care about players that much.
And you know, I'm not gonna lie. Like in this sexist world, where like, for example, women's sports may not necessarily be rated that like that, or people don't really watch it.
Olympics,
when it comes to Olympics,
it's different.
But no one's caring about the 100-meter men's final.
Yeah, because we didn't even think about. I didn't think about it. It's a dead field.
Who cares, right now? Who watching? Noah Lyles. Trayvon Bromell, bro.
Maybe allow it, man. You know what I mean? Like, bro, right now it's about women sprinting.
Maybe Eugene made that finals, made it a bit more.
Yeah, it's true. Big up Eugene, bro. Big up Eugene. But yeah, but still,
all day, every day, fam.
You know what I mean? Like, I think the 100, like, just to big up the female sprinting game right now is ill. We're actually in a golden age of women sprinting.
Facts.
Like, as much as I know you had your view about Flojo earlier, but I was speaking to my brother about it, and I was saying, if her, like, let's leave it, bro, because if it was real, because I watched her break the record and she was moving mad.
Crazy.
Her eyes were crazy.
Her eyes were yellow, bro. Her eyes were yellow, bro.
The thing is that, but what I was saying to him anyway was that if her 10.43 or 10.49 didn't stand in the 100, I don't know what the record was before. I think he told me it was
it's Jetta.
It was
Jetta for a long time.
No, before that, it would have been some East or West German with like 10.8 something. Yeah. Imagine how many times we would have seen the world record get broken, and world leading times, and how close people would be.
So much fun.
It would be.
Apparently, the time before her was done by an athlete that was doping as well.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. An East German, I think it was East German lady.
Yeah, them man were rife.
They were on crack, fam.
But I just imagine sprinkling that. The amount of world records, when you see like Jetta
programs and shit,
even when you're seeing 10.70, 10.71s, and you're seeing now 10.63s, you're seeing like 10.65
Shelly-Ann
from Jetta.
Crazy.
These deserve to be world record times.
They deserve to be.
But at the same time, I don't want to move mad with Flojo because that time is ridiculous.
For me, anyway, Flojo is cancelled. She's not the world. She's not the world record.
We'll never know. She died, man. She's
never the world.
Don't speak ill of the dead, bro.
Yeah,
don't speak ill of the dead, bro. Because
one of her relatives just
if she did that legitly, she's like, you know, if she did that legitly, you know what? Again, it's like my issue is that
I need to cover myself for it.
Is she only getting that?
Bro. We're supposed to wrap up and we're talking about dead.
Is she only getting this because is there anything founded where like maybe it was dodgy that there's reports that she was using drugs, or is it just because she ran 10.49?
No, there were reports.
There were reports. I think it was something to do with her coach.
Okay. There were reports.
And like other athletes that were around her that got baited out or something like that.
Yeah, it's long.
Like they've done countless number of documentaries.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Like, yeah, crazy.
I watched her break the record, and she was, you know, when Shelly-Ann did the 10.63, there were strides behind her. Like them lot were like passing halfway, and she
and bro,
was
this
done.
is in the 80s.
Yeah, bro,
this is in the 80s.
Even
or it was in the 90s. I don't know. One of the two,
right? Yeah,
but it was. I mean, it's over 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Over 30 years ago now.
Yeah,
so
it's we move anyway. We look forward to the Olympics. You lot in the comments, tell us what you're looking forward to.
I think I'm hoping that Boat's new daughter comes out. What's her name again? Was it Lightning Bolt? Lightning Bolt, yeah. I hope Lightning Bolt comes up.
Maybe in a good while, like 20 years
maybe
time.
Lightning in that.
25 years time.
It was in the 80s. She ran the 10.49, like you said, world record.
And then she did the 21.
And then she did the 21.34 in the 200. Bro, it was another world record.
One girl in America ran like
that
the second.
was not getting broken.
No, bro. There was an American girl recently
getting broken. Do you know how far away from 10.49 they are at the moment?
I know. 10.63.
We're getting gassed over 10.63.
We've seen for a lifetime,
bro. Like I said, the 10 like
that 10.49 is crazy.
The thing is that for her times to get touched, it just means that time's not going to get touched. Because unless you're looking at women sprinting progressively getting faster, which maybe you can say it is, like, I don't know if we're going to see women touching that time consistently. You know, are you going to be seeing 10.6 races? Although this women's final, if them lot push out what they've been doing so far,
I think most people make it to 10.7.
So the slowest time could be like 10.8.
Yeah. Just to add some context to that Flojo story, just quickly, to bring it back, but this is quite interesting. So in 1987, her best time was 10.96. Right? That was her best time in
yeah, you man.
I was speaking on that name.
You're moving brazy.
I was speaking on that name.
You man moving brazy.
In 1987, her best time was 10.96, and she broke the record with a 10.49. So that means she improved her time by 0.47 seconds.
Which is crazy. And guys, if you're not good with athletics, is wild to break the record by that much
in the space of a year.
Your own
so
time.
Obviously, a lot of people were commenting on the fact that she managed to close the gap so quickly and how she managed to do that. Even worse is her 200 meter time. So
that's what I'm saying. The 200 meters is actually wild.
Her best before she ran her 21.34.
I'm sure she wasn't getting tired.
Was a 21.96. So she ran.
That's still fast. That's not bad as well.
0.62 seconds faster.
That's crazy.
In the 200
from 21.96 to 21.34.
Yeah,
that is crazy.
Father, forgive us. Father, forgive us.
Do you know what it is? It means in the last 40 meters when people are just keeping their pace. She was actually just
that's the one thing I said. I said when I watched her race, she ran through the like it's like in the 100 she was running faster. But what I give her, again, I'm giving her grace, is because she was like a 200 meter sprinter. You can see the authentic, but the 200 meter sprinters always have that stamina most of the time. They can translate it to the 100. So they're literally sprinting. They're trying to sprint for like 120 meters because they got that 200 meter speed. Because when I saw she was running through the line, like she was still accelerating almost. That's how it looked. But Father, forgive us, and we move. Hey, so obviously in the comments, let us know what you think about the whole anti-doping. Do you think Sha'Carri should be allowed to race? Let her run. Do you think, you know what I mean, that
put that black fist down?
Don't want to see she should hold her L?
Yeah, do you think she should hold her L? Accountability. What are you looking forward to? Who do you think is going to win the 100 meters women's final? And that, obviously, it's been 11:24. It's your boy TP.
Olu Money.
G Bonsu.
Come on. Subscribe and that. Spotify, YouTube, all of that.